All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. I just wanted to share some quick thoughts on my thoughts on watching the now sitting over the Secret Service lady that we have over Secret Service and her being questioned by Congress today. I got to listen to some of the testimony and some of the questions and some of the answers, or what little answers we got today from that hearing. And I wanted to share my quick thoughts on some of the things that were said. And first off, I don't think anybody is any more clear on what happened that day than we were hours after it happened. There was very little answers given by the head of the Secret Service. And it is funny to me how it seems like most of the people in our administration, over our administration, Secret Service, FBI, CIA, ATF, it's amazing to me how most of those people just show extreme amounts of liberal ideology and what they stand for, kind of how they act. You can just tell that they are more liberal people, and that's sad to me. And that's one of the biggest notes that comes across to me about all this stuff and everything happening is how there's not a bipartisan ATF director or Secret Service director or FBI director. There's not bipartisan directors. They're all lean one way strongly, and that's just, it's really sad that it can't be kind of more balanced. I don't understand that. Our Supreme Court, we have some liberal judges, but we also have quite a bit of conservative, and maybe the balance is a little bit on the conservative side. But I will say those directors of those three-letter agencies tend to lean way more percentage-wise left than they do leaning right. So that's just sad, and I hate that. And I hope that gets fixed. I hope we at least have a decent balance in the next few years heading those agencies. I will say I think the director of Secret Service will step down after she was unable to answer hardly any questions, and she did not come ready to answer or with a desire to answer any of the questions that the senators had. And I think even from the left side, we see that they desire her resignation because of her lack of ability to answer the questions. But there was very little said. There was enough said to make me realize that, yes, there was some definite issues. There's going to be some interesting revelations come out in the next 6 months. Just enough said for me to realize that there's going to be some interesting revelations come out of at the FBI and the Secret Service and Congress on what happened that day and exactly how deep it went, and the problems with protocols and leadership at the Secret Service and FBI that day is very evident, the lack of leadership in those ways. But one of the most interesting things I want to state real quick is how it was amazing to me that the Republicans focused on questions. This hearing is about asking the leader of the Secret Service, the one who's over all the Secret Service. This hearing was all about asking them what went wrong, the details of that day, what happened, what could we have done better, who messed up, who made the mistakes, who didn't make mistakes, who should we praise, who should we get rid of, what protocols should we change in order to better this. That's what the Republicans focused on, was asking her questions about that day. And it was sad to me that the Democrats, same old, even though to a certain degree they came on board and they agreed that this lady had not done her job. And I was proud of them in that way, the Democrats, for being willing to stand up and say, yes, you failed at your job. And some of the Democrats, quite a few of them, actually said that she should step down. And I was very proud of them for doing that one thing. I think that's something that the Democrats won't do very often, is go against somebody who leans left like them. They're not very good at actually saying that anybody's wrong if they lean left. But today they did, and I was proud of that. But I did notice the Democrats spent more time focusing on the weapon that was used by the shooter than they did talking about or asking questions for the head of the Secret Service. They would ask her a couple questions, and then they would go on this rant about how the AR-15 is the reason why he almost got assassinated, and the reason why we have all these mass shootings, and the AR-15 this, AR-15 that. But I just want to kind of end this part of the conversation with this, and we'll kind of finish up. But I think there's going to be some interesting stuff come out of this the next few weeks and months. So hang on. I know a lot of y'all probably didn't see the hearing. Please go look it up. You can go on YouTube and find this whole hearing. Please listen to it because it's very insightful to the left and the right and kind of the way this country's divided and how, even though we united on some things, even today you could see some unification because of what happened. We are still super divided into what we think we should do going forward. But let's get back to the AR-15. The one thing I will say, and what I wish Republicans would have had time, but they were focusing on what they were supposed to focus on instead of the liberal narrative that the Democrats try to take it this other direction so they can take away our rights. They were focused on getting answers to questions about that day, about the assassination attempt, where the Democrats they would kind of go into that and then they would go straight to gun control talks. And I think that's very sad. But what I want to say about that and against that, and it might be something I should have mentioned first or mentioned in another video, but I think it's extremely interesting that they want to bring up the AR-15. And the truth is, if that shooter, I won't mention names like I said, if the shooter at the Trump assassination attempt would have had a 6.5 Creedmoor deer hunting rifle with a high power, let's say a 12 power scope, with a precision trigger, then Donald Trump would not be here today. So the whole talking point on, I don't care if you're a bad shooter, you can be a really bad shooter. And if he would have had the right gun with the right trigger and the right ammo, AR-15s are not that easy to shoot prone without a bipod, without certain things. And I don't know what all he had, but most hunting rifles have more power, bigger calibers. They're able to shoot long range with less deviation by wind and other factors as well. So they tend to be closer, the scopes tend to be closer to the bore, which actually helps in your elevation, and shooting with different elevations. I know he was so close, that didn't really matter that much, and the wind didn't really matter that much. But my thoughts are, if he had had a precision trigger, most standard AR-15s and most of these people that do these shootings only have standard triggers. They don't have aftermarket, lightweight, sporting triggers. Most hunting rifles have very light, nice, crisp triggers. If he would have had a crisp trigger, then I don't think Donald Trump would have been here today. And that's something the Democrats don't talk about, is that the hunting rifles for that particular shooting, if he was trying to kill multiple people, sure, the AR-15 was a better weapon. But for doing what he came to do that day, he would have been better off with a standard deer hunting rifle with a good trigger and a high-powered scope. And that kind of completely kills what the Democrats, so go listen to it, please listen to it. But that kills what the Democrats were speaking on, because they were saying that he wouldn't have been capable of doing this had he not had an AR-15. And the truth be told, that he could have used a more high-powered round, a more precision round, a better rifle for killing one thing at a time. For just using, I'm basically saying just using a standard, decent deer hunting rifle would have been better and probably done the job. And I hate to even say that because it sounds awful to say that, but I think the Lord it was an AR-15 and not one of those nice precision deer hunting rifles, because I don't think we would have the person I think that needs to be in the White House. I don't mind sharing my politics with you. Do I think Donald Trump is perfect? No. I think he's had a lot of issues with the way he speaks and things, but I do believe the man that we need in the White House is Donald Trump. And I am glad that he had an AR-15 that day and he did not have the skills that he needed in order to accomplish his mission that day. I'm very thankful for that, because any person with decent ability and skill could have made that shot and could have made 2 or 3 precision shots in under a second with an AR-15. And any person with decent skills and decent experience behind a gun could have easily made a one-shot kill from that distance. No issues, no problems with that line of sight. With a hunting rifle, it would have been absolutely no problem whatsoever. And that's sad to me. And the Secret Service has got to, and I say that because it kind of scares me to even say that. And it makes me feel kind of awful to say something that, but the thing is, the Secret Service has got to step up their game. There should have been no one to be able to be on any high place within a half a mile of Donald Trump with any kind of weapon. There should have been nobody be able to be on any kind of point to take a sniper shot within half a mile or a mile. Really, it should be a mile, but half a mile is bare minimum, bare minimum. So we're talking about 3,000 feet would be the minimum kind of protected area that all places and lines of sight should be covered by the Secret Service. And the fact that he could get within 140 yards, and I know people that take deer, can shoot deer even in the head, and a deer's head is pretty much smaller than a human head. I know people that could shoot a deer in the head at 140 yards almost every shot, even under stress. And that tells me that this was a huge failure by the Secret Service, and she should resign. And I think we'll see her resign soon. We'll probably see articles about that soon. But yeah, I want to share that. It's not about the AR-15. I have a few of them. They're sitting in safe areas, safe from my kids, safe from intruders, and I have several of them, and they don't ever hurt anybody, and they never will. Under my care and supervision, they will never hurt anyone. And so it's not about the gun. And if that shooter would have had the right gun for that job, he probably would have succeeded. And thank the Lord, he did not have the right weapon, and he did not have the right skills. And the Lord saw fit to allow Trump to turn his head just enough to where the bullet did not strike him in the wrong spot. And we thank the Lord for that, and we thank the Lord for his protection. And I'm glad that God doesn't fail us like the Secret Service does, and God doesn't fail us like our government does sometimes. And yeah, this is some thoughts for the day, but y'all keep your ears out and listen to what's going on in that stuff, and please go watch the testimony, because I think you'll get some insightful things about our government and where the left and right stand right now, and how they're somewhat united, more in some ways than they've been in a while, but they're less united than what we would like to hope they would be, because you got liberals still pushing gun control in a time when we shouldn't be thinking about gun control. God bless. Have a great day, and I hope to catch y'all later.